I lost my memory. Kevin asked if I remembered who my boyfriend was. I pointed to Vince standing behind him with that infuriating smirk. Kevin looked like the weight of the world had been lifted from his shoulders as he exhaled in relief. But later, on my wedding night with his brother, he went berserk, pounding on the door. "You can't get married. Jess. Please come out." Ever since the doctors said I'd lost part of my memories, Kevin visited daily. The afternoon before my discharge, he suddenly asked, "Jessie, do you remember who your boyfriend is?" My gaze drifted to the corner where Vince sat, that perpetual amusement playing on his lips. Vince had shown up every day since my hospitalization, quiet, devastatingly handsome, exactly my type. My best friend mentioned Vince had been pursuing me before the accident, so I pointed at him. "He's my boyfriend." For a heartbeat, I thought I imagined the flash of relief in Kevin's eyes. His first genuine smile in days appeared. "Right. Vince is your boyfriend." Vince snorted, unfolding his 6'2" frame from the chair. The man was walking testosterone, broad shoulders tapering to narrow hips. That face carved by angels. My breath hitched as he leaned into my personal space. "I'll pick you up tomorrow, babe." His husky drawl curled around me like smoke. Heat flooded my cheeks as I watched him leave, my pulse racing. "Jess," I turned to find Kevin's stormy expression. My smile vanished. "Why are you still here?" His jaw tightened. "I'm getting engaged next week. Tomorrow, I can't come for your discharge." I waved him off. "No worries. My boyfriend's got it covered." Vince arrived precisely at 10 a.m., hoisting my luggage like it weighed nothing. His hand found mine naturally. Instead of taking me to my apartment, he drove us to his penthouse. "You'll take the guest room," he said, disappearing into the master suite. "Aren't we sharing?" The words tumbled out. He froze, slowly turning. Those dangerous eyes glittered. "You didn't want me in your space." The doctors said I'd forgotten many things, including why I'd kept him at arm's length. Pride warred with desire as I cleared my throat. "Let's revisit this after I remember more." "Deal." His wolfish grin made my skin prickle. He stayed locked in his room until dinner. I was sautéing vegetables when his heat engulfed me from behind. "Smells good." His stubble grazed my ear. The spatula clattered to the floor. As I bent to retrieve it, my thigh brushed against his. Strong arms hauled me upright, depositing me across the kitchen island. He fled before I could speak, leaving me flushed from collar to hairline. At dinner, he avoided mentioning the kitchen incident. "My brother's engagement party tomorrow. You're coming as my +1. I nodded, then paused. "Does this mean I'm meeting your family?" Vince Ford resumed his carefree demeanor. "We've already met. Just be yourself." His reassurance put me at ease. At the engagement party, Vince guided me through introductions with relatives and friends. "Uneasy," I whispered. "Vince, why do their stares feel so odd?" He smirked. "You're too stunning. They're worried you'll outshine the main event." My cheeks warmed. I dressed carefully tonight, not to upstage his future sister-in-law, but to avoid embarrassing him. In the restroom stall, I overheard voices. "Can't believe Kevin Mitchell's actually marrying Mona Stevens. Just wait until Jess regains her memory. What can she do? Kevin never loved her. If not for her family connections, did you see her clinging to Vince earlier? Couldn't snag the brother. So she's after the younger one now? Tisk. Even amnesiac Jess stays scandalous. Enough. She's always been generous to you all." I lingered long after the voices faded. Emerging, I found Vince leaning against the doorframe, waiting to rescue me from toilet monsters. He teased. My face flushed. "In your dreams." He reached for my hand with that infuriating grin. "My dreams? Oh. I dream plenty." I swatted his knuckles. "Vince. They said, before the accident, I liked your brother. His chuckle vibrated through me. Kevin never stood a chance. You've always been mine. His pinky traced my palm. Electric currents shooting up my arm. I jerked away. But he recaptured my hand. Let's raid the dessert table. I nodded. According to Vince, pre-amnesia me avoided sweets for vanity. How foolish. By the time Kevin and Mona approached, my plate held crumbs from 3 pastries. Vince wiped frosting from my lips, oblivious to others. When I tried warning him about the approaching couple, he simply interlaced our fingers, studying them like precious artifacts. The air thickened until I stood, raising my champagne. Congratulations on your engagement. Mona's gaze ping-ponged between us. How sweet you two are. When's your turn? My glass trembled. Before I could deflect, Vince declared, soon. We're picking dates. Kevin's stare pierced me. Is that true, Jess? Why yes. I stammered. Vince cut off further interrogation, steering them away. Later, buckling me into his convertible, Vince suggested, let's chase the sunset. I soon regretted agreeing. Past city limits. He floored the accelerator, white-knuckling the seatbelt. I watched scenery blur. The Porsche screamed along coastal roads until we skidded to a beachside stop. Stumbling out, I retched miserably. Through watery eyes, I spotted Vince lounging on sand with six-pack in hand, waving like we'd planned this. I couldn't believe it. You dragged me to a seaside car race just for these 2 sips of alcohol? He tilted his head back for a swig. I simply thought you might need some tonight. What a jerk. I'm freshly discharged from the hospital. Still on meds. And you want me to drink? The next second, his laughter dissolved into the night. Since you can't drink, I'm drinking for you. The consequence of not stopping him was my white-knuckled 2-hour drive back to the city. In the elevator, Vince's arms snaked around my waist. His devastatingly handsome face hovered dangerously close, alcohol adding dangerous allure. I stared dumbly. Vince tightened his grip, breath warming my cheek. Jessie, do I look good? I nodded. Do you like me? Another nod. Should we share a bed tonight? I nodded again before realizing the trap. Flushing crimson, I snapped. Vince, are you even drunk? He nuzzled my shoulder like a shameless puppy. Shoving proved useless against his immovable frame. When the doors opened, he suddenly swept me into a bridal carry, striding toward the master bedroom. Vince, that's your room. He pivoted instantly. Your room then. Lights remained off as he deposited me on the bed, his weight following. His fingers had just slipped under my shirt when illumination flooded the space. Kevin stood fuming at the footboard. What the hell are you doing? Vince reacted fastest, one hand yanking blankets over me, the other still beneath my clothes. His smirk could have powered cities. What does it look like? Out. Now. Kevin's voice dropped to Arctic levels as he grabbed his brother's arm. Vince gave my waist a final mischievous squeeze before releasing. Wait here, sweetheart. He never returned. Drifting into sleep, my phone buzzed with Vince's call. His weak voice whispered, Jess, it hurts. Rushing to the hospital, I found Vince bedridden, limbs casted, head bandaged, bruises marring his face. Your brother did all this? Vince hesitated. Jessie, he won't let me near you. Even as family. This is too much. I fumed. His eyes lit up. Does that mean we can continue after I heal? Continue what? Kevin's thunderous voice boomed as he entered. What fresh nonsense is this? Vince shrunk into his pillows like a scolded child. I stepped between them. Mr. Mitchell, you hospitalized your own brother and now threaten him? I'm calling the police. I didn't touch him. Kevin ground out. He entered the ER right after you took him last night. Who else? Kevin's jaw clenched. Jess. He tried to take advantage and you defend him? You wanted that? Bewildered. I countered. He's my boyfriend. What happens between us is our business. He's not, hissed Jessie. It hurts so bad. Vince suddenly spoke up. I asked nervously. What's wrong? Where does it hurt? Vince pointed to the corner of his mouth. Need to apply medicine. Following his instructions. I carefully dabbed ointment on his split lip. Even after treatment, Vince kept complaining about the pain. Leaning closer, I gently blew air across the swollen area. Our faces were so close I could see his eyelashes fluttering. Undisguised delight shimmering in his eyes. Still hurts? I inquired. Vince glanced at Kevin across the room. Lips quirking. Hurts, blow on it more. Kevin stormed out, slamming the hospital door hard enough to make the walls shake. During Vince's hospitalization, I visited daily. One evening when I arrived late, I overheard voices inside the private room before entering. Jess will regain her memories eventually, Kevin was saying. She'll discover you've been faking injuries to manipulate her. You know how she hates being lied to. Vince's lazy drawl responded. When her memories return, you'll be the first one she comes after. Kevin's fist clenched. She'll never love you. Vince chuckled darkly but didn't argue further. After Kevin left, I entered to find Vince transformed into a pathetic invalid, demanding to be hand-fed like a helpless baby. Though amused, I couldn't bring myself to deny him. Post-discharge, Vince alternated between wheelchair theatrics and inventing creative excuses to lean on me until the night I caught him sleepwalking to the kitchen. I arched an eyebrow as he froze mid-step by the refrigerator. With exaggerated nonchalance, Vince replaced his water glass and shamelessly pulled me close. Had this dream, miracle healer cured me instantly? I allowed the embrace without comment. He sighed dramatically. Can't keep pretending. My intentions should be crystal clear by now. Intentions? I feigned ignorance. Vince's sudden grin turned predatory. When he carried me to bed, his gaze softened to liquid warmth. Jessie, may I? Looping arms around his neck. I countered. If I say no, would you stop? No. True to his word, Vince didn't pause even when tears spilled down my cheeks. Afterwards, he stared at me with dazed wonder, silently carrying my boneless form to the shower. Through drowsy haze, I felt his lips brush my temple repeatedly. Jessie, so happy you're mine. Only mine. Forever mine. Since that night, Vince became impossibly clingy. He refused to release my hand in public and treated me like human jewelry at home. Don't you think this is excessive? I finally protested. Nuzzling my hair, he murmured, Do you hate it? No. Vince captured my lips triumphantly. Vince. I pushed against his chest. We just, an hour ago. He nipped my earlobe. An entire hour without proper connection. Isn't this too much? Too much? His hands wandered lower. I'd say anything under 24 hours is deprivation. Stop talking. Lately exhausted from his relentless attentions, I found myself sleeping longer each day. Vince Ford finally realized he couldn't keep going like this. He started taking me to his friends' gatherings. Outside the club entrance, Vince got a call about urgent business. Wait in the VIP room. Sweetheart. I'll be right back. As I reached for the door handle, my own name froze me mid-step. Isn't Jess just Kevin's cast-off? Only an idiot like Vince would take sloppy seconds. Kevin had the right idea. Dumping her after the amnesia saved himself future humiliation. A different voice chuckled. Still, you gotta admit Jess's got that fire. If Vince hadn't claimed her first. Kevin's delayed response slithered through the door. Depends when her memory returns. My fists clenched as the door burst open before I could move. A blur of violence erupted inside, thuds. Curses. The sick crunch of bone. Club staff came running. But I blocked them. Brothers settling differences. Don't interfere. When silence finally fell, Vince emerged bloodied but calm, lacing our fingers together. Outside, Kevin intercepted us. Face battered. Amnesia doesn't erase what we had. Jess. Vince lunged. But I stepped between them. Kevin Mitchell. Even if I don't remember why I ever tolerated you, I know this, whatever happened between us. You're the architect. Kevin's smirk returned. Worry about yourself. The Fords would never accept damaged goods. Vince's wedding's next month, didn't he tell you? The numbness lasted 3 days. When Nina found me feverish in bed, she dragged me to the hospital. Pneumonia. Between 4 drips. Fragmented memories surfaced, high school rumors morphing me into some man-eater. Using Kevin as shield against unwanted attention. His violent obsession culminating in tampered brakes and that fateful crash. I awoke clear-eyed. Nina smoothed my hair. Real love sees through facades. Jess. You've always been your own best protector. The heart monitor steadied as I whispered. Time to stop pretending. The only one by my bedside was Nina. Oh, sweetie. You're finally awake. You kept rambling in delirium. I was afraid the fever fried your brain and made you forget me too. I managed a weak smile. Forget anyone but you? Never. Nina's mouth fell open as she stared at me in disbelief. You remember everything now? When I nodded, she wiped her tears furiously and launched into recounting recent events. Both Kevin and Vince had come. She'd cursed Kevin out before he even crossed the threshold. Vince had sneaked in during her absence, only to get beaten senseless and thrown out. My laughter crinkled the corners of my eyes. Thank God I have you. But babe, Vince looked utterly heartbroken when he saw you. Is there some unresolved business between you? The silence stretched. Vince had pursued me before my amnesia. Even after I started dating Kevin. His lingering gazes held unspoken promises. During my memory loss, his tenderness felt genuine. But his wedding's imminent. What's the point now? Nina. I'm leaving the country. So suddenly? Planned before the accident. Actually. At the airport. Nina clung to me weeping. Take care of yourself. I'm just studying abroad. Not vanishing. Before powering off my phone, her text flashed frowny face. Vince followed you. I deleted it coldly. My new routine, campus. Library. Apartment, brought structure. Exhaustion sometimes resurrected memories of Vince's golden hour smiles. Reluctant as I was to admit it, those had been my happiest days. His wedding date approached. Drafting texts to Nina. I backspaced compulsively until abandoning the effort. Nina called the eve of his marriage. Telepathic as ever. He's getting hitched tomorrow. Jess. Really no last-minute intervention? How? Our saga's already neighborhood comedy material. What claim do I have? Saw Vince at a gala last month. Transformed, all corporate polish. Wouldn't have recognized him except for those cheekbones. You'll regret this forever. I mumbled non-committally, steering conversation elsewhere. Sleepless. I wandered digital rabbit holes until landing on flight bookings. Vince's evasive eyes from that final encounter flashed, dousing my screen with metaphorical ice water. Dawn found me lacing running shoes. Opening my door. I froze. The man slumped against my doorway, startled awake. Disheveled hair. Rumpled Armani suit. His burning gaze pinned me for eons before rasping. Haven't eaten in 2 days. Before protest formed, he brushed past into my bathroom like he owned the place. Leaning against the steamed doorframe. I jumped when his weakened voice filtered through. Jess, I'm starving. Exhaling sharply, I turned toward the kitchen. Couldn't let the idiot perish on foreign soil. I went to the kitchen to cook him pasta. By the time Vince emerged, the food was ready. He wore my bathrobe with damp hair falling across his forehead, adding an air of casual elegance. His evenly sculpted muscles visible above the robe collar sparked unwelcome imaginations. Without a word, he devoured the entire bowl in minutes. When I moved to collect the dishes, Vince grabbed my wrist. "Jessie, I've missed you so much." Those soulful eyes brimmed with melancholy, dangerously hypnotic. I looked away, withdrawing my hand coldly. "Leave when you're done." He circled the coffee table awkwardly, blocking my path. "Jess, let me explain. I was wrong." I struggled, but he tightened his grip. "Then explain." Vince lifted his chiseled jaw, frustration evident. "My family's forcing an arranged marriage." That night at the club, Kevin tipped off our father about my whereabouts. "Remember when I took that phone call? It was Dad threatening to hurt you if I didn't comply. I tried chasing after you, but Kevin knocked me out cold," his voice cracked. "I didn't know how to tell you. Please don't hate me." The revelation stunned me. I never imagined the rebellious Vince would become a corporate matrimony pawn. Before I could respond, his familiar citrus shampoo scent enveloped me as he stepped closer. I ran away. "Jess, don't make me go back." Realization struck. Today was supposed to be his wedding day. My phone rang, displaying Kevin. Vince's lips pressed into a thin line as I answered on speaker. "Where are you hiding him?" Kevin's sneer cut through. "Even if you love each other, Jess, the Fords would never accept some tainted nobody without connections. He'll always choose family over you." I laughed bitterly. "Keep lying to yourself, Kevin." "Should I share those desperate voicemails you left me last summer?" The line went dead. Vince stared wide-eyed before deflating. "You remember everything." "I do." The usually cocky air slumped. "I'll go then." He changed back into his rumpled clothes, lingering at the doorway. "Vince." He turned hopefully. I gestured to the trash bag. "Take this down." His expressive eyes dimmed. Later, Nina called. "He's with you, right?" Vince actually escaped his wedding. His father's raging. "He's gone." "What? Where else would he go?" "He practically begged me for your address. Even promised to," she caught herself. "Never mind. I'll explain when you're back." I forced a half smile. "You really sold me out like that?" Nina suddenly turned serious. "I just think Vince is perfect for you. When you two were together, your whole vibe changed. Trust me, babe. He's absolutely your soulmate. Whether he's my soulmate or not." I didn't know. But soon I ran into Vince again. He became my neighbor. At first, I gave Vince the cold shoulder. He either didn't notice or chose to ignore my attitude, waiting by my door every morning with my favorite Chinese breakfast. In the evenings, he'd linger in the stairwell when I came home. If I refused his morning offering, he'd add dinner to his evening delivery. Initially, I tried brushing him off. But soon every international student in our apartment complex knew about our situation. Vince told everyone we'd had a fight and he was trying to win me back. Occasionally, mutual friends would put in a good word for him. To stop the constant mentions, I reluctantly started accepting his daily meals. But Vince pushed his luck, slipping handwritten notes into the bags. His doodles were terrible stick figures with mismatched limbs, flowers that looked like deformed squiggles. When I complained to Nina about this, she burst out laughing. "Vince can't draw to save his life? Who knew?" I found myself chuckling too. Nina nudged. "You've tested him long enough. If you wait until someone else snatches him up, you'll regret it." Okay. I sighed. Through recent inquiries, I'd confirmed Vince's story about being coerced. He wasn't entirely blameless. But the situation wasn't completely his fault either. After a sleepless night of deliberation, I decided to forgive him the next morning. But that day, he never came. A neighbor informed me Vince had left abruptly the previous night. My hands turned icy. Did he say where? He left with some woman. Mentioned wedding preparations. Life regained its quiet rhythm. Yet everything felt hollow. Passing through the stairwell, I'd instinctively glance at Vince's vacant apartment, no longer seeing that handsome face waiting in the shadows. I wanted to text Nina, but feared hearing confirmation of his marriage. 2 weeks crawled by. Our neighborhood grew dangerous, with multiple stalking incidents reported. Local girls started walking home in groups for safety. That fateful evening, running late from work, I arrived at the meeting point to find everyone already gone. Hurrying down the dark street, I heard footsteps closing in. My mind raced through every true crime scenario as I fumbled for pepper spray in my bag. When a hand grabbed my shoulder, I swung around blindly too late. Dragged toward an alley. I made a desperate vow: if I survive this, I'll fight for Vince with everything I've got. As if summoned, rescuers appeared. My attacker vanished into darkness, and I collapsed into a familiar embrace. "Shoo! I've got you," murmured a shaking voice against my hair. Looking up through tears, I found Vince's face and clung to him, sobbing uncontrollably. He carried me home, my fists gripping his shirt like he might dissolve into smoke. That night, neither of us mentioned letting go. Vince looked at me with helpless amusement. "I'm not leaving. You couldn't chase me away even if you tried. But I need to shower. Want to join?" I nodded instinctively. He carried me to the bathroom but bolted out at the last moment. After we both cleaned up, I lay in bed while Vince settled beside me, his voice tight with residual fear. "I was gone for 2 weeks and this is how you take care of yourself?" His words reignited the lingering panic from tonight's ordeal. I bit my lip hard before snapping. "Is this how you court someone? Disappearing after a few days to prepare your wedding? Think this is funny?" Vince blinked in confusion. "What wedding?" I repeated what the exchange student had said. His expression turned comically horrified. "That woman's my mother. She dragged me back for Kevin's wedding." What? Monica got pregnant. They moved the ceremony up. His eyes narrowed playfully. "Wait, are you jealous?" "No." "Really?" His lips curved. "Then I can safely accept my family's arranged marriage alliance." I pinched his waist hard. "Don't you dare!" he hissed, arms banding around me as scorching lips descended. "Jess, God. I missed you." Calloused fingers traced my spine, sparking electric shivers. My tentative response made his breath catch before he claimed me with desperate heat. After months apart, Vince showed no restraint, keeping me up all night. When he suggested I return to America with him, I refused. "I love you, but I love myself more. I won't abandon my goals." He fixated on the first part, wonderstruck. "You said you love me? Jess loves Vince?" He badgered me to repeat it, retaliating with strategic kisses when I resisted. As exhaustion finally claimed me, his whisper brushed my ear: "I love you, Jess." At the airport farewell, Vince demanded a parting kiss until my swollen lips protested. He nuzzled my neck, grinning. 1 year till graduation. Then we're getting married. That familiar glint resurfaced, the same look he'd worn when introducing new positions. My cheeks burned as I shoved him toward security. Yet the terminal's emptiness echoed in my chest long after his plane departed. Returning a year later, Vince's assistant met my flight. "Mr. Ford recently took over Ford Enterprises," came the clipped response to my questions. "The Ford conglomerate? You'll need to discuss that with him." The penthouse hadn't changed. I texted Vince about jet lag before collapsing in the guest room. Hours later, heat enveloped me. I blinked awake to find smoldering hazel eyes. "Rested?" Vince murmured as I stretched in his arms. How'd you get here? His smile held decades of secrets. Missed my welcome home committee. Sleep well? Now it's my turn. I nervously grabbed Vince's wandering hands. Vince. It's still daytime. Doesn't matter. Weren't you busy? My voice trembled. Vince's voice turned gravelly. 2 hours won't hurt. 3 hours later. I lay weakly in his arms. How could you? You said 2 hours, Vince chuckled darkly, sounding thoroughly pleased. Next time I'll let you clock overtime. When Vince woke me for dinner that evening, I devoured 2 full bowls of rice before mustering energy to ask about company affairs. He explained Kevin had lost 3 major projects, disappointing shareholders, while Vince's own string of big deals propelled him upward. I studied him intently. Vince, tell me truthfully, did you sabotage Kevin? Neither confirming nor denying. He countered. Would you fear me if I had? Never. You should have done it sooner. You've always been smarter. Vince shot me a loaded glance. Obviously. When Vince proposed taking me home, I panicked. What if your family objects? Relax. He drawled. You're just sole heiress to Johnson Enterprises. That trumps everything here. I flushed. Does my deception bother you? My parents hid my background for safety, even creating a civilian identity. That's why Kevin never knew. Vince smirked. Thank God they did. Otherwise, would I ever have stood a chance? You're not exactly lacking, I retorted. In which aspect? He leaned closer with a wolfish grin. At Ford Manor. We collided with Kevin and Mona in the foyer. Vincent, you actually brought this gold digger here? Kevin glowered. Mona looked me over disdainfully. The board would never accept some nobody as future madam. Vince's voice turned arctic. I built my position without female props. The pointed jab made Kevin turn puce. Nothing's decided yet. Kevin spat. Vince swept past him without acknowledgement. His parents offered a chilly reception until a post-dinner study meeting transformed his father's manner. Suddenly effusive. Mr. Ford inquired about my overseas education before proposing. Shall we arrange marriage negotiations tomorrow? Kevin exploded. Father, you swore she'd never. Silence. This concerns family alliances. Vince calmly interjected. I've already secured Mr. Johnson's blessing. Johnson? As in Johnson Enterprises? Kevin gaped between us. Realization dawning. Later that night, news arrived of Mona's miscarriage. Vince explained their post-confrontation fight, Kevin admitting he'd only married Mona for the pregnancy. Mona revealing the child wasn't his. Their scuffle ended it. I sighed without sympathy. Some tragedies write their own endings. Regardless of Kevin's choices. I never expected him to come looking for me. He intercepted me outside the office building with a massive bouquet of roses, beaming as he offered it. Happy birthday, Jess. I didn't take the flowers. During our relationship, Kevin had never bothered with gifts for any occasion, not even when pursuing me. Every expense had been strictly for shared activities. Never a thoughtful gesture. Now that he knew my true identity as a Johnson heiress. Suddenly roses appeared. He tossed the bouquet aside carelessly when I refused. Don't like roses? Let's pick something else. Kevin. I'm your sister-in-law. His expression froze momentarily before smoothing over. If this is about my marriage, I've already drafted divorce papers. Besides, you and Vince aren't married yet. I flashed my wedding band. Actually, we filed the paperwork this morning. His jaw slackened. That's impossible. My husband's here to pick me up. Goodbye. Kevin blocked my path again. You regained your memories. Jesse, you remember us being together. How could you choose my brother after that? Yet here I am. I said softly. I love him. I strode toward Vince without looking back, fearing Kevin's volatility. Vince expedited our wedding. During the ceremony, Kevin sat ashen-faced amidst whispers. See that guy? Dumped the Johnson heiress during her amnesia. Thought she was beneath him. Serves him right, heard his wife Mona is blackmailing him with dirt. Now he's stuck between divorce scandals and losing family standing. Groom's a lucky man. Johnson fortune and a knockout bride? Total package. After vows, Vince whisked me to our penthouse, pinning me against the entryway before the door fully closed. Everyone will notice we're missing, I protested as his hand slid beneath my lace gown. Worry about me, Mrs. Ford, he growled. 3 days without you? Unbearable. His teeth grazed my neck. You've haunted me since sunrise. This dress, a zipper hissed. Needs burning. We tumbled onto the foyer rug as pounding shook the door. Stop this. Jess. You can't marry him. Kevin's drunken roars echoed. Bedroom. I gasped. Here. Vince's smirk turned feral. Let him hear. The battering crescendoed as we moved against each other. My choked cries harmonizing with Kevin's enraged bellows until security dragged him away. Later, Vince carried my trembling form to bed. Long night ahead. Darling. The Mitchell patriarch exiled Kevin to their African operations. Surprisingly, Mona chose to accompany her husband rather than divorce. 2 years later, I cradled our twins while reviewing merger terms. My phone buzzed. Vince's video call showed him bouncing a giggling baby in each arm during a board meeting. Your mini CEOs miss their mama. I'll wrap up early. I smiled, watching our daughter tug his tie. The Ford-Johnson merger, it turned out, yielded the most profitable alliance of all. When I got home, the only person there was Vincent Ford. Seeing that triumphant smirk on his face, I angrily threw a pillow at him. Vince, you lied to me again. He pulled me into a tight embrace, inhaling deeply. Honey, it's been so long since we had any time just for the two of us. Since having our child, I'd been completely absorbed in parenting while managing the company takeover. I realized I genuinely neglected Vince. I couldn't bring myself to reject him. The consequence of our recklessness showed up the next month: 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test. I was at a loss for words. Vince, are you trying to kill me? My sweet. I'll get a vasectomy first thing tomorrow. Yeah, right. Like I'd believe that.